A very good evening, students. I, C.A. Shraddha.
I, Nisha.
We are mentors for today's session. This session is for paper 2, corporate and other laws at intermediate classes. So we welcome you to the live learning classes at intermediate level for this paper, that is paper 2, corporate and other laws. So in continuation of the last lecture, which was on the Indian Contract Act 1872, and we will be discussing you the further provisions which are applicable for you at the intermediate level. In the last lecture, we talked about contracts related to indemnity and guarantee, which were contained in section 124 to 147 of the. Moving further with a special type of contracts in the Indian Contract Act, today we will be talking about another very important special contracts which are contained in Chapter 9 of the Indian Contract Act. And these will be from sections 148 to section 181. You know what these sections are in relation to? These are in relation to a very special contracts that the students have read about in their foundation level also. They have the hint of that what is bailment.
Yes.
They might not be knowing about what is pledge, but they know that
Actually, they are not aware of in detail these
yes,
regulation and laws because they are not forming the part
at the foundation level.
You have
Heard these terms at the foundation level. So today we will be discussing the exact provisions that are dealing with bailment and pledge. This chapter, that is chapter 9 of the Indian Contract Act, is not an exhaustive topic containing all the examples or all the types of bailments. There are other kinds of bailments which have very specific acts in relation to them, and they are Evening, students, once again. So there was some technical glitch. We welcome you back for the session. So we were discussing that bailment and pledge, about bailment and pledge. We were telling you that the Chapter 9 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 is not an exhaustive topic on the kinds of bailment. There are various other acts also which deals with other type of bailments, and these acts may be the Carriers Act 1865 or the Railways Act 1890. So moving on further, these bailment and pledges are a specific contracts. In fact, these are very two special contracts and they are often confused with each other. It is very important and imperative to know at this point of time that pledge is a very special kind of bailment. And in fact, every pledge is a bailment, but every bailment is not a pledge. So in order to solve this mystery, we will go about in today's lecture about the length and depth about the topic of bailment and pledge.
Yes. First of all, Shraddha, let's welcome to our students. Okay, Miss Sanju, Bhumika, Kiran, then Rajiv Kumar, Rashita, Diksha, Kavita, Sushil, Farah, Komal. A very warm welcome to you all on behalf of the Board of Studies, the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Welcome to you all on this platform on the live learning classes on the paper 2. As already is well said by Shraddha that yes, today we are going to deal with the specific kinds of the contract, and this we are going to discuss today in the session is related to the bailment and the pledge. And yes, the bailment is basic, the class, you can say it is a genus of the kind of the special contract, right? And within this genus or class of the contract, you'll be finding a species with a special species on which the every applicable relevant provisions of the bailment is applicable on that species of that class of the bailment of contract, that is the pledge. The pledge is basically the special contract. That is why all the pledges are said to be a bailment, because it contains all the essential elements of a bailment of contract on the pledge also. But there are certain elements which are necessitated for forming a contract of pledge, which are not there in the contract of, you can say, a bailment. So that is where they are more specific nature of the bailment with respect to the bailment of contract.
So ma'am, can we say that if this is bailment and then pledge is a part of this?
Yes, because you see, if the bailment is nature of the contract covering the general rules of the bailment, but apart from this pledge is certain specific things which is not covering the general principle, but apart from the general principle, they are having certain other specific qualities or the characteristics. So these are the special species, you can say, of the particular class of the bailment.
Ma'am, can we just, Miss Sanju?
Yes. Sanju is asking a query. So Sanju, we request you to send your query to the respective email ID. Please note down Ajit, AJEET.Kumar, KUMAR @ICI.in. So Sanju, you can send your query on this email ID and definitely it will be reverted back to you. Then one more query has been raised by Bhumika. She is saying, last in the class, we have covered up the this indemnity, law of indemnity, as well as the law of guarantee. Yes. So you are that student is asking, can legal heir or indemnifier or indemnified receive or pay money in case of a death of indemnifier or indemnified? If you see, the concept related to the indemnity as well as guarantee is equally applicable to the legal representative. And already there in that session, we have covered a point also on the death of indemnifier or the indemnified, what shall be the consequences or what shall be the right to will be available to the legal representative. So once again, you go through it because we have said it is equally applicable on the LR.
So continuing with
continuing with the further session, start of the session. But yes, before we start the session, first of all, we should wish our all students a grand successful landing of Chandrayaan 3. Yes, it's a proud moment to all of we Indians. And accordingly, we also expect that you students, because now you are you are having a special place, among us.
the yes, you are like the Chandrayaan 3
Yes.
has successfully
Landing.
landed
Yes, you should
on
clear
the
your
moon.
examination.
Yes, and you should also be on the moon in terms of that clearing your intermediate as well as your final examinations. So the way ISRO has been relentlessly working so hard, and you could see the smile on everyone at yesterday, not only as the journal public, but the people that they were at ISRO. They were like, they was just beaming from this corner of the face to this corner of their face. So similarly, you, the Chantares of your homes,
Yes.
should be going and working so hard that you make your parents and yourself so proud. And obviously, we, the mentors for today's session, and the other mentors also, will be so proud, and we will be like clapping for all of you on your success.
Yes, but yes, everybody has seen their success, but the efforts behind that. So it is requested, just put your 100% and just do the hard work, and definitely you will also reach to the success.
Yes, you will also have a soft landing on the chartered accountancy certificates.
Yes. Now let's start up with the session. So we are just starting with our, the chapter with related to the bailment. So we are discussing here the relevant provisions that has been dealt with the bailment is being covered under section, from 148 to 171. That is dealing with the bailment, just the bailment. Okay, you can divide into two parts. With respect to the bailment, the relevant provisions are 148 to 171.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes. And with respect to pledge, you will be finding from section 172 to 182. 181. Take it 181. Okay. Yeah. So these are the relevant sections. Yes, my dear friends. And this has been divided here so that you can try to remember the range of the sections. Because this helps you. Because whenever it is being tested in examination, any question on the pledge, so you can easily make out yes, the sections are starting from the 172. So you can somewhere just link and write, yes, we can mention how simple, if pledge is there, so you can write simply as per section 172 related to the pledge. So you can mention over there. So you can just recall what are all the relevant provisions being covered under the pledge, ranging from this to this section, as well as with respect to bailment from 148 to 171 section. So this is the range. And when we talk about the bailment, you must have heard about the bailment when you attend under the sales of goods or in the Contract Act. So you must be knowing that is something related to delivery of goods. You must be knowing that there must be a transfer of possession. That much you are aware of. But what are the regulations? What are the general rules which is regulating the bailment? So it is being covered under the Indian Contract Act 1872. And yes, when we talk about the bailment, so you in Hindi they call it upnidhan, because many of you students maybe of the Hindi medium also, so I am using somewhere this Hindi terminology just to make you at a comfortable level, and yes, at your convenient. This bailment is upnidhan, right? So section 148 talks about the bailment. So word, if you talk about bailment, it has been derived from a French word baler, right? Which means to deliver. Okay. And etymologically, if you see, bailment means handing over or change of possession. Okay, if there is a change of possession, that means bailment. If there's a handing over of goods to someone else, to the other side of the party, then again it's a bailment. So bailment, generally, if you can understand, it means changing of possession, means this delivery of goods to other person. So as you see the name, delivery or the change of possession, so definitely one person cannot deliver to himself. So definitely there must be requirement that there should be a two persons, at least two. Yes. And it is not like that ki aap gaye and you suddenly just exchange anything. There must be some, terms on the basis of which this agreement should be laid down. That means there should be a contract. And along with the contract, there must be a purpose. What is the purpose? There must be some intent for purpose with respect to which that particular transfer of the good has been done to the other party. And also, when the good is accomplished or it is finished, the same good should be returned back to the party, or it should be disposed of according to the terms given under the contract. This is, I have just broke down the definition given over here. So let me read the definition Okay, for your sake of convenience, so that whatever you read, you'll be able to retain. And that is what's requirement, that you should read the bare laws, the act, so that you can retain it is as it is given over there, and accordingly you may be able to write down also. So I'm just now reading what the bailment is.
So I would like to add here, if you see this diagram, this has been taken like in the last class also we told you about to refer the capsules. So the diagrams here have been used for your references from the capsules. Apart from that, I would like to add, just see the way the definition is given. Our aim is not only to make you understand things, but also how to write things. If you see this diagram, just see, we have used some keywords like delivery of goods from one person to another for some purpose and upon a contract. This line is used. But while you will be writing this in the examination, you cannot make this diagram or just write these pointers. You can use the word delivery of goods in a proper sentence, and how those sentences will be framed, that kind of a language will come only when you have read the whole of the sentences.
Yes.
So now ma'am will tell you the exact definition that is given, and obviously you can write it in your own words in the examinations.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you see here, we have given the diagram for the retention. What are the essential elements of any definition? So this will help you in understanding as well as retaining of the key words of any definition. So let's take up the definition of the bailment. Yes, what section 148 says. Okay, section 148 of the Act says that bailment is the delivery of the good. Okay, there must be a delivery of the goods by one person to another. Two parties are involved. Okay, for some purpose, right? And the goods, when the purpose is finished or accomplished, it be returned, or otherwise it should be disposed of according to the directions of the person who has delivered. Okay.
So it is to be disposed as per the directions of the person who has delivered the goods originally.
Yes. So it is very simple. So you should remember the key concepts. Then only you will be able to retain the definition also. And it is very simple definition with a very clarity. What should be there, between whom should be there, and for what it should be there, and what shall be the consequences. So there is a linkage of each and every key lines and keywords. So just try to make a connection and then read and then understand and then retain the definition. Now let's take an example to understand the bailment. Now suppose here a very simple example is given. Let me take it another way. Suppose if I lend gold to Madam Shraddha, okay, for a uses for a function. There's a function. I say kindly use these gold ornaments. So she said okay, and after that, once the function is over, so she is going to return me that ornaments.
It's my duty to return back.
Yes. So here the specific purpose is, what is the specific purpose? For the usage of the
during a function.
Yes. The jewelry. Okay. And it will be seeing that since I have delivered it, so there is a change of possession also.
Yes.
Handing over of the goods to the other party.
Yes.
This is also there. And the purpose already said to you. And yes, as and when the function is over, the same ornaments will be returned back to me. Okay. If otherwise, I would said any other way of disposing of the goods. Suppose I'd say you deliver it to my sister rather than to me. So this is also possible. So this is an example of bailment.
So that is even a way of disposing of the goods.
Yes. Disposing means the way of transferring the goods in a different manner, whether it may be sold or it may be given as on hire or something, any of the method that you are adopted for transferring of the goods, whether it may be gift or sale or something like that, whatever it may be. But this is a way how you can transfer the good to the other person. Okay, this was asked by Kiran also. What the word dispose means here? Dispose means the transfer of the good. Right?
Or how the goods will be transferred once the special purpose for which they were originally given has been done away with.
But this is with respect to bailment part.
Yes.
Otherwise, it can be sale also. If once the sale has been done, that means ownership is transferred.
Yes.
So there is a different case. There will be a transfer of the general property lying in the good. And when I'm talking about the bailment, I'm talking about the special property lying in the good. So there is a difference. So disposal in a common sense means the transfer of the good, and it may include any of the methods in any of the way it can be transferred. Right? Now moving to the another example given over here. Very simple. Many of you may be giving your clothes for dry cleaning and all these things. Yes. So in this case, when you give your clothes to the dry cleaner, so it is said that that you are baler because you have lent your or you have given your dress for dry cleaning, and the cleaner is here the bailee. So when you hand over your dress for dry cleaning, so here this is a bailment good. Okay, it is a good. Good is the subject matter of any bailment, right? And the temporary custody of the clothes is given over to the bailee, and he is responsible for keeping them safe and to return them once it is being dry cleaned. The purpose is finished or it is accomplished. For what purpose it has been given, that purpose has been finished, and at that time he will be returned back, that dry cleaned clothes back to the baler. So this is a simple example of bailment. Now, as already said, bailment cannot be transferred within by one party to himself only. So definitely there's a requirement of the two parties over here, right? So two parties. The first party is the baler. You can see in the diagram, the person who is delivering the good is the baler. Very simple. Who gives, who delivers. Okay, it is very clearly indicated from this diagram also. So baler, who delivers the good, as well as the bailee, the person to whom the goods are delivered.
So in the example which ma'am gave, she is the baler, yes, and I was the bailee.
Yes. Yes. Then you can see another important thing is about the subject matter. Subject matter is also very important in the bailment contract of bailment, because when we talk about the bailment, so what is the thing with respect to this bailment is done? That is the subject matter. Subject matter is the goods.
Yes.
And yes, the goods can be immovable or movable. Both kind of goods can be there. But here we are talking about the
movable.
Yes, movable goods. So movable goods are the subject matter of the bailment. Please remember this. And where this definition of goods is given, do you remember? I suppose you all have read at the foundation level the Sales of Goods Act. And there you were finding the definition of the goods, what does the good means, and what are the exemptions which are there with respect to the goods. They are not being covered under that particular definitions. That means they are movable, but they are not considered as a goods. So those examples mentions about the current money or the legal tender that cannot be billed. Because if you see that current money falls under the exceptions of the goods. So first of all, goods, it is not a subject matter, because it is not considered as a good, the present money or the current money that is in usage. So that is not considered as a good. So first of all, it is not a subject matter of the bailment. And second thing, you can say this is since in the usage, and this is something which is presently used by the persons to make, to make the payments, to settle the debts, or to, to fulfill the financial obligations. So legal tenders are of such natures. For example, the banknotes, or you can say the coins. These are all the, you can say, means. Yes, these are all the means which are recognized by the law. And these are used as a mode of payments. So these are also not falling under the definition of the goods. And that is why they cannot be billed. So they are not being covered under the bailment of contract.
But there are certain coins, like our parents also use the Elizabethan coins and all those things. So can they be considered as goods for the purpose?
Yes, because if you see in old times, or even many people, they have, hobby of collection of the old coins. Yes. So what happens if they just want to use it as in the contract of bailment to transfer to someone who has an hobby of collection? So they can do it.
They can.
Okay, because this is out of the purview of the
So that's why they are using
of the goods, yes.
which are जो हम हिंदी में we say it प्रचलन में चलने वाले पैसे. So if there is currency that is in use in the current times, then that cannot be considered as good.
Yes, simple है. इस पे कई बार क्वेश्चन आता है, तो you should have the clarity what the goods means and what are excluded from the scope of coverage of the goods, what are all not the goods, so that you can understand that these things cannot form the subject matter of the bailment and they cannot be bailed to anyone. So understand this thing. And many times the questions are being asked to check the understanding. So just have a clarity on this point. Then the most important aspect that I'm now going to discuss, please students mark it, because many times the question is asked on this particular aspect under the bailment. Yes, it is related to the deposit of money in a bank. Okay. So if whether the deposit of money in a bank will be considered as bailment, many times you must have seen these questions have been asked frequently in the examinations also. So dear friends, as already said, it is not bailment, since first of all, the money is not the subject matter of the bailment, first of all. And second, when any money is deposited in a bank, and if it is written by the bank, it will not be the identical currency notes. It will not be the same notes which you have deposited. And as per the requirement of the bailment definition, the same form of the goods should be returned after the accomplishment of the purpose. So this is the thing, because of not the identical currency notes that has been returned, so it is being not considered as a bailment. Second important thing is with respect to depositing ornaments in the bank. Many of your parents must be having a locker, and they must be keeping all these valuables in the locker in the bank premises, the bank locker. So is that depositing ornaments in the bank locker is a bailment? Yes, Shraddha, many times questions has been asked to with the students in the examination.
In the case of bailment, there is one very important term, which is your transfer of possession.
Yes.
So in the case when the goods, or rather I should say ornaments, are deposited in a bank locker, there is one main thing that is not happening, because the keys are still with the owner. The bank is not owning the keys of that locker. The keys of the locker are with the respective customer.
Yes.
So there is not transfer of possession. The possession is still with the owner or the customer. So that's why we say that the ornaments that are kept in the locker whose key is still with the customer, this cannot be termed as bailment.
Yes. But if bank is given actual and exclusive possession of the property inside a locker, which has been hired by the locker,
customer.
The customer who have hired the locker in a bank, if in that case, if he assigns the actual and exclusive possession of the property inside a locker, only in that case, we can say that bailment under section 148 can be presumed. Means there, yes.
Transfer of ownership is also important in this case, in the sense
transfer of
possession.
Yes. Yes. Exclusive possession is given to it to operate without intervention of the customer.
Yes.
This is the thing.
Ownership is not in the sense of कि आपने उसका legal rights उसको दे दे. Ownership in the sense of that, in terms of possession of the good.
Yes. और आप operate कर रहा है, बैंक उसको खुद operate कर रहा है. He knows what are all there in the locker. He knows about it and he's operating without the customer's intervention. Then it is considered as a bailment.
Yes.
Now, there's one famous case law, Atul Mehra versus Bank of Maharashtra. I'm just giving the reference, though it's not the part of the study, but just to make you understand this concept. Because this is the concept on which, as I've told, important concept on which the questions are being asked in the examination. So it was held in this case that mere hiring of bank's locker and storing things in it would not constitute a bailment, right? But the position changes completely. If the locker in the safe deposit vault of the bank can be operated even without the key of the customer, then only it will be termed as a bailment. Okay, mere custody or storing the things cannot constitute a bailment between the bank and the person who have hired the locker. So this is the case law for your reference that you can understand very easily.
Varsha has given.
Yes, Varsha has said no, keeping in locker is not a bailment because bank locker is taken by owner on rent and lockers is owners. Yes, Varsha, you are right and you have given the right reply. And it is very nice to see that, yes, you have the clarity of the concept. Good, Varsha. Keep it up. Even we are looking from the other students also. so that these sessions can be made more and more interactive, and everybody will gain out of this session, even the other students. Maybe many of the students may be having a common queries, so that will be beneficial to other also. So please keep sending you wherever you are having any issue related to the concepts. Okay, now moving to the next important part is the essential elements. Most of the elements already I have discussed.
Yes.
But yes, again, once again I'm reiterating just to have, you can say, a revision and that to the clarity. Now, contract, already said, it is based upon a contract. A contract is there upon which the bailment is made. So it is also known as a contract of bailment. And it can be express or implied, right? Because you are already aware of whatever the general provisions related to contract are there. Similarly, it is also applicable on the bailment also, that there is a contract, and contract can be made either express or in an implied manner. And the important aspect here is that no consideration is necessary to create valid contract of bailment. Okay, but it's not mandatory. So there can be a consideration or there cannot be a consideration. So according to the nature of the rewards, further the contract of bailment can be divided into two subparts. But however, as per the essential elements, no consideration is necessary to create the contract of bailment. Then the next important aspect is with respect to the delivery of goods. This is again the important requirement. Delivery of goods from one person to another. And yes, there are different modes of delivery. What are the modes of delivery? So basically, if you see here, we have given you broadly two modes, but yes, there are three modes of delivery. Kiran has asked, can we see the case law? Case law, we are just writing over here because it's not there in the study material. But yes, you can write down the name of the case law, Atul Mehra.
Students, please excuse me for my writing. Atul Mehra.
Atul Mehra versus Bank of Maharashtra. Okay, Kiran, this is a case law that you may refer if required. But yes, this is for your understanding. We have given here the reference of the case law. Yes, then I was talking about the modes of delivery. So it is very important. Sometimes on the basis of modes of delivery also, you can find out whether it's a valid contract of bailment or not. So there are three modes or ways of the delivery of goods. The first one is the actual delivery, which we have mentioned in our notes also. Actual means the real delivery, the physical handover of the goods. Simple. Wherever you physical hand over the goods to the bailee, it is an actual delivery. Right. The next step of the delivery is the constructive delivery. Here what happens, there is no actual delivery of goods. But yes, here the delivery is made by doing anything which has the effect of putting the goods in the possession of the other party, that is in the hands of the bailee, or the person who is authorized to hold them on his behalf. So that is a constructive delivery. There, whatever, only acknowledgement that goods are held on behalf of a buyer. Here the possession is lying with the third person and he acknowledges on behalf of the buyer that I'm holding property as an agent for you on behalf of buyer. So this is the constructive delivery, right? Here, this constructive delivery is a substitute of the actual delivery because there is no actual delivery, but you are doing certain thing which is having the effect of putting the possession into the others, into the hands of the other party. Or you can say this constructive delivery is also known as proxy delivery, or you can say acknowledgement delivery, where you acknowledge that you are holding on behalf of such and such person the property or the possession of the property. Then third type is the symbolic delivery. In this case, what happens, buyer has control over the goods, but no delivery is made. Means he do certain act which results in the transfer of possession to any other person. Got it? Here the goods are delivered through substitute article, which is accepted as a representative of the original item. There is no actual delivery of the good, but it represents that there is a delivery of the goods through certain symbol, through certain, you can say, the token.
Token.
Yes, simply by delivering a key. Yes, this is symbolic delivery because it is reflecting that yes, you have made the transfer of possession to the other person by giving the keys. Now he is having the control over that, the key of the car or whatever, the key of any of the related item, whether it may be of any house or whether it may be of any, but house will be not covered here because it's immovable property. But here we are talking with respect to car, suppose. So yes, here we can say he has a control over the car just by handing over this key to him. Okay. So we can take the example also over here to understand and to bring more clarity to this modes of delivery. Let's take the example first of actual delivery. When there is a delivery of car for repair to workshop, you are seeing that we are physically handing over this car, yes, for repairing to the workshop. So this is the actual, real delivery, right? Then when I talk about the constructive delivery, the example, delivery of a key of a car to workshop dealer for repair of the car. So here you will be seeing that what we have done, we have given a key of a car to a person, okay, to a person for the repairing. So here what happens in that case, we have given the possession of the car to the authorized person. Who is the authorized person here? Is the workshop dealer. Simply by handing over the key, we have given the possession. We have done a certain act which has the effect of putting the possession into the hand of the other party. Simply by handing over the key, we have done this thing, and that is why the delivery has been made to the other party, and this is also a kind of a mode of delivery of goods. Then the third example you see with respect to the symbolic delivery, here the delivery of keys of a car to a friend. Okay, so your friend is a third person. Yes, and he is as an agent. Okay, as an agent, he is holding on your behalf the possession of the, the goods, that is the car that's taking over the key. So this is the symbolic delivery for your reference and example. Now, just take it up. Yes, so we have discussed about the delivery of goods. Then purpose already told to you. Okay, some purpose should be there, right? And it may be explicit, implied, and it may be mentioned under the contract. Okay, what are the terms and conditions? Everything is given over there. So this purpose is also the important part of the requirement of this bailment contract. Then possession, again said possession is very important. The spatial property moves to the other party. This is the important requirement. Unless and until there is no possession of goods, you cannot decide whether it is a bailment or not. So nature of the possession only brings you clarity whether such a contract is a bailment or not. So this is the most important thing that you should understand. There should be a change in possession of the good. Okay. Then next thing is there should be special property. Already I have told you that means there will be no change in the ownership. Yes. Only possession will be there. Now the return of the goods, another important aspect. Once the purpose is over or it is finished or it is accomplished, the bailey is obliged to return the goods back to the baler in the desired form or as mentioned in the contract. This is the essential elements. Hope the basic thing is clear to you. Now moving to the next important aspect of the bailment.
So when we were talking about this topic of bailment, we said that no consideration is necessary to create a valid contract. In that case, we are saying that it is not in all cases that there should be some consideration, and this will be forming part of the next topic that we will be discussing, which will be the types of bailment. So bailment can be classified into two parts, which is your gratuitous bailment as well as non-gratuitous bailment. So what makes a bailment as gratuitous or non-gratuitous? It's on the basis of the benefit that is there some consideration or there is on the or not. That is on the basis of the reward. On the basis of reward, the bailment will be classified as a gratuitous or a non-gratuitous bailment. The parties to the this bailment, are they getting or not getting some value out of the contract of bailment? So the gratuitous bailment is one where the provider of the service is doing it free of charge. That is gratuitous. Okay, so if the act is done free of charge, then it will be a gratuitous bailment. And that means there is no consideration involved in this kind of bailment. This kind of bailment, that is gratuitous bailment, is for the exclusive benefit of the bailer or for the exclusive benefit of the bailee. Okay. And since we are saying that there is another kind which is non-gratuitous, for gratuitous we said that it is done free of charge. Thus, when it involves some kind of consideration, in that case, it will be a non-gratuitous bailment. In the non-gratuitous bailment, both the parties get some benefit. That is, the bailment is for the benefit of both the bailer as well as the bailee. Okay, when it is for the benefit of both the bailer and the bailee and it involves some kind of consideration, so we will be saying it as a non-gratuitous bailment. And let's explain this further with an example. So in case of a gratuitous bailment, if you are lending your cycle to a friend of yours, like you are playing and you have given it to your friend that, okay, you can also have a ride or two on it. It is like you are giving it for no consideration. It is for the exclusive benefit of either the bailee or the bailer or the bailee. So in this case, this is gratuitous bailment because neither you nor your friend is entitled to any kind of remuneration in this kind of bailment. However, when we will be discussing about non-gratuitous bailment, it is very important to know that there should be some exchange of money or some other kind of consideration is involved. Example, if you go to a shop and you hire a cycle for an hour, or you go to a place to, not a library exactly, but to other place where you borrow some comics and everything, and you are reading it. So this is non-gratuitous bailment because you are paying some kind of charges. You are paying some kind of consideration, charges, money is involved, and then you are getting that goods. And the custody charges are paid, okay, by the bailer. So in this case, it will be a non-gratuitous bailment. So if you have understood this concept of gratuitous and non-gratuitous bailment, there is a short exercise for you. Just you can respond on it. Goods given to a friend for his own use without any charge is gratuitous or non-gratuitous?
Yes, students, looking forward for your reply. Goods given to a friend for his own use without any charge. What is kind of the contract is this? Is this the bailment? Or you can say pledge. Though you have not read it, but in simple word, pledge is given as a security. Okay, as a security for the repayment of debt or for the fulfillment of any promise.
So many students are answering it correctly that yes, it's a gratuitous payment. Okay. Hiring of goods. Very good, very good, very good. So hiring of goods is a non-gratuitous payment.
Yes, even Rajiv Kumar and Ms. Bhumika has given right answer to the first part of the question, that example given over here. Yes, that is the gratuitous bailment.
And delivering of goods to a creditor to serve as a security for a loan. It's a non-gratuitous payment. Okay. Ma'am, like some students have said are asking about the RTPs for November 2023. It is already uploaded on the website of the institute. Please see that.
And we suppose that you are well aware of our BUS knowledge portal also, the ICI official website. Kindly go to ici.org and there you will be have to log into the student section, and from student section you can go to the BUS knowledge portal. And in the BUS knowledge portal, you will be finding many relevant sources related to the academics, publications, as well as many of the sources for your references are available over there. So kindly go over the website on the BUS knowledge portal. You will be finding the RTP also over there.
So a student is asking, ma'am, will these notes be uploaded on the BUS portal? If you wish, we can. However, I'm again reiterating that these are all taken either from your study material or only from the capsule. Though if you want, we will be uploading them for you, but you can make them on your own, because if you simply see, we are just discussing the examples. Here we have most of the examples and the things that are there in the capsule. Okay, so the next important topic for the class is duties of a baler. As we have said that who is a baler and a bailee. Okay, number 3 is a pledge. Okay, we were discussing only from the point of view of gratuitous.
And even pledge is also, you can say, a special of the bailment. It's
Yes.
a part of the bailment. Certain specific, you can say, elements are there, which makes it the special bailment. So it is a pledge also, because as a security when you get
Yes.
something for the payment of any debt, you can say, or for fulfillment of any promise, so yes, it can be said a pledge, but pledge is also a kind of bailment. So when you will cover up
pledge, then you will see that yes, you are correct that it's a part of pledge. However, at this point of time,
we were just making you to understand first the concept of bailment. So broadly, if you see, it's a bailment, but yes, specifically it is a pledge. But very good, Rajiv Kumar and Ms. Bhumika. Wonderful, great.
So the duties of a baler. So the baler is the person who is delivering the goods. So he has some duties which he needs to fulfill. And these are contained in section 150, 158, 159, 164. And so let's go on with that. The first is your disclose the known facts. What do we mean by disclose the known facts? It is the baler's duty to disclose all the defects or faults in the goods that he is bailing. So section 150 talks about this. And it says that it is the duty of the baler to disclose the latent or the hidden facts specifically pertaining to the defects in the goods that he is giving to the bailee. And the duties are as under. So there is a difference in the case of a gratuitous bailment and in case of a non-gratuitous bailment. In case of a gratuitous bailment, if you see, the duty of the baler is to disclose all the defects in the goods that he is aware of. Okay. And that can these, first he should be aware of these defects. Secondly, those defects that the bailee that can interfere to extraordinary risk. Okay. And the failure to do so, like if he does not tell the bailee about these defects, then they will make the baler liable to pay damages. Okay. So it is very important that he should be aware of these defects, and the defect should be such that they should be hampering or interfering with the use of the goods by the bailee. Okay. Now, coming on to the next, that is your non-gratuitous bailments. This is non-gratuitous bailment. That means for some kind of reward. If the goods are given on hire, then in this case, even if the baler is not aware of the defects in the goods, he is responsible. Okay. And in such a case, if some mishappening happens or there is a defect, even if he is not aware, he will be held liable for the injury that has been caused due to the existence of the defect. Okay. So if the goods are bailed for hire, the baler is responsible for such damage, whether he was aware or not aware of the fault. In case of gratuitous bailment, since no consideration is involved, so we are saying that he should be aware. In case of non-gratuitous, it's okay. Even if he's not aware, he is liable. So example of this is, A lends a horse which he knows to be vicious to B. He does not disclose the fact that the horse is vicious. That means he's aware. The horse runs away and Mr. B, that is the bailee, is injured. So A is responsible for the damages that B, the bailee, has sustained. Second, now A hires a carriage of B. It's a case of hire. So the carriage is unsafe. And we are saying though B is not aware of it and A is injured. In this case also, who will be responsible? The baler is responsible even when he is not aware it, because it's a non-gratuitous payment. Next, A allows B, his friend, to take a joyride. So obviously it's a case of non-gratuitous payment. A knows that its brakes were not proper, but this does not disclose. So he was aware. He knows. He was aware. It's a case of gratuitous bailment and he was aware of the defect. But it did not disclose it to the bailee B. A meets with an accident. A is liable to compensate B for damages. But when A had lent the motorcycle, it was for a joyride. A had lent the motorcycle on hire. He is liable to be, even if he did not know of the failure of the brakes, because even if he is not aware and it's a non-gratuitous payment, he is bound and liable to the bailee. Next. So the next is bear the necessary expenses. It is the duty of the baler to pay necessary expenses, and this is covered under section 158. So again, there is a difference, gratuitous bailment and non-gratuitous bailment. So in case of a gratuitous bailment, whereby the conditions of bailment, the goods are to be kept or to be carried or have to be worked upon them for some work, and the bailee is to receive no remuneration. That means it's a gratuitous bailment. The baler shall repay to the bailee the necessary and extraordinary expenses incurred by him. Okay. And in case of a non-gratuitous bailment, the baler is liable to pay extraordinary expenses incurred by the bailee. Okay. Here we are saying necessary and extraordinary. Here we are saying extraordinary. Because in gratuitous bailment, obviously there was no consideration. So whatever work they have done, they need to pay for it. The necessary charges are also to be paid on it. Let's explain this with an example. Okay. A hired a taxi from B for the purpose of going to Gurgaon from Noida. During the journey, a major defect occurred in the engine. So it's a hired a taxi. So obviously it's a non-gratuitous payment. A had to pay rupees 5,000 as repair charges. These are extraordinary expenses and it is the baler's duty to bear such expenses. Okay. However, the usual and ordinary expenses for petrol, toll tax are to be borne by the bailee. Okay. Then the next will be indemnify the bailee. So what do we mean by this? It is the duty of the baler to indemnify the bailee for premature termination. It is contained under section 159. So, where the goods are lent gratuitously and baler terminates the bailment, उसने बीच में ही उस चीज को रोक दिया है. So, the baler terminates the bailment before the expiry of the period of bailment. He must compensate the bailee for the loss suffered by the bailee. Okay? Because he must have worked on it or he must have done some kind of preservation of the goods.
You can say for protection of the goods. Some kind of any, you can say, any services he has exercised.
For the goods.
Yes.
In his possession. So in that case, and the time period for bailment has still not expired. In that case, the baler has terminated the bailment, now it is the duty of the baler to compensate the bailee for the loss suffered by the bailee. That is in excess of the benefit received. Okay. So the next is your defective title. What is like defective title? It is like we are saying it is the duty of the baler to indemnify the bailee for any loss which the bailee has suffered because the baler's title was defective, because the baler's title was defective. So what can be the reason? The reason is that the baler was not entitled to make this bailment, and then he has made this bailment, or he was not entitled to receive back the goods from the bailee, but he receives it under the contract. So because of all this, the bailee suffers some kind of loss. So it becomes the duty of the baler to indemnify for this loss, which the bailee may have sustained by the reason that the baler was not entitled to make this bailment. Okay. What happens is, A asks his friend to give him a cycle for 1 hour. But this A was the cycle which he gives to B. A is not the real owner of this cycle. So B, instead of his own cycle, gives someone else's cycle to A. So that means B's title was defective. He was not the real owner. And what happens is, while riding the cycle, the true owner of the cycle, that is C, comes and catches A and surrenders him to police. So what happens? Because of the defective title of B, baler, A has suffered some loss, and in this case, A is entitled to recover from B all costs which he had to pay in getting out of this situation. So he suffered this loss. He did not get injured or something like that, but he suffered some loss because of the defective title of the owner. Rather, I should say the baler. Next is, the baler is bound to accept back the goods. What do you mean accept? He is bound to receive back the goods when the bailee returns them after the time of bailment has expired, or the purpose for which the bailment has been done, it is accomplished. In that case, it becomes the duty of the baler to receive the goods. And if the baler refuses to receive the goods when it is offered at the proper time, then the bailee can claim compensation for all the necessary expenses incurred for the safekeeping of these goods. Okay. So what happens in this? It is given for a special bailment. We are saying that it's given for a special purpose or for a special time, specific time. Once the time is over, it is the duty of the baler to receive the goods. Otherwise, the bailee has to do something extra to preserve the good or to maintain the quality of the goods.
Safe custody of the goods.
Yes. X delivered his car to S for 5 days for safekeeping. However, X, that is the baler, did not take back the car for 1 month. And now you know the parking charges are so high or the space crunch is so much. So in this case, S, that is the bailee, can claim the necessary expenses incurred by him for the custody of the car. So these are the duties of the baler. Yes. If we are instilling some duties on the baler who is giving the goods, it is obviously very necessary that there should be some duties of the bailee also.
Because it cannot be that right or duties can be only for one party. If there are two parties, so definitely law will not do bias with any of the party. So proper justice should be given to each and every party who is entering into the contract. So when a duty is imposed on one of the party, so definitely the duty is imposed on the other parties also. And besides with the duty, there is also a rise of rights, because rights and duties go simultaneously. So if a right is given to one party, so there will be duties of the other party. Okay, and similarly, it will be vice versa. If the one party is having the duty, then simultaneously the other party will be having the right for the same in the contract, in any of the contract. So here, once we have discussed about the duties of the baler, and now we will see what are the duties of the bailee.
Okay, so we will start with duties of bailee. The first one is to take reasonable care of the goods. So this is dealt in section 151 and section 152. In all the cases of the bailment, the bailee is bound. We are saying the bailee is bound to take as much care of the goods as a man of ordinary prudence. Learn this word. As a man of ordinary prudence would, under similar circumstances, take care of his own goods of the same bulk, of the same quality, of the same quantity as of the goods bailed. So it is very important for the bailee also, because the goods are now under his possession, to take care of the goods. Okay. So let's explain this with an example. If X bails his ornaments to Y keeps his ornaments in his own locker, at his own house, along with his own ornaments. This is a very important line in this. Sorry, unfortunately, all the ornaments are lost and stolen in a riot. Yeah, I have this.
Because what happens, many times a question is also asked with respect to the rights and duties of the baler and bailee. Whether any kind of the rights of the right is valid or not in a circumstances, you need to understand what all rights are provided to the parties, whether it be baler or the bailee. So read these rights properly and you will make it out very easily. Whatever are the rights of the baler, that will be the duties of the bailee. So you can correlate when you are reading. Try to correlate. Simply write at one place, at one side, the duties of the baler, and similarly the rights of the bailee. Opposite parties, rights and duties, so that you can easily remember and you can correlate and understand what are exactly the rights and duties given to those these two, both the parties, so that you have a clarity and understanding, and in that way you'll be able to understand the relevant provision. And also you'll be confident in answering the question in the examination.
There is one more important thing. It is the beauty of this chapter that once you have read baler, bailee and their rights and duties, you will be in a position to understand and learn many of the duties of pawner and pawnee also.
Yes, because again, that is a special bailment. Yes. So many things are, that will be making you convenient to understand the concept of the pledge also, because there are common essential elements, except some additional elements are there related to the pledge that we will take up later in the session.
So in this question, what happened was that X bailed some ornaments to Y, and Y has kept the ornaments of X along with his own ornaments in his own locker. Now they all are lost or stolen, okay, in a riot. Here, Y will not be responsible for the loss to X. What's the reason? Goods to kho gaye na? And because he has taken care as a man of ordinary prudence would do, or under similar circumstances of the same bulk, same quality, same quantity. So he has kept it along with his own goods. Suppose in this example, what happened was this Y, the baler has said that, X, that is the baler specifically tells Y to keep the goods in the bank. But then Y does not do so. Yes. So there was a special instruction given. So in many of the sections, we keep on saying
on the direction of the
yes. Or as provided in the contract, or as provided in the agreement. So here it was specifically instructed. And then also if Y keeps the goods as his residence and then they are lost, then what is that? He will be held liable because he has not acted prudently even after getting the instructions from the baler. Okay. Now, what happens is you have read here. One more point comes here is if there is a special contract. So you need to keep this also in mind. Okay. Now, next is no unauthorized use of goods. So it is like the baler has given some goods to the bailee and now he starts using it for something which he was not authorized to do with the goods, or he makes an inconsistent use of these goods. So in that case, what is the position? If the bailee makes use of the goods bailed, which is not in accordance with the terms and conditions of the bail, then what will happen? He is liable to compensate for the loss of the goods. The contract of bailment is voidable at the option of the baler. Okay? Because he used the goods for a purpose which was not the intention of the bailment.
Yes, that means it was inconsistent with whatever has been laid down in the agreement. So if this is being done something which is against the terms and conditions, so that means it will be unauthorized use.
Yes.
So in that case, definitely the bailee has to pay the compensation to the baler.
So example is A lends his horse to B for his own riding. So the authorized use was own riding only. B allows C any other person, a member of his family, to ride the horse. So it's an unauthorized use. C rides with care. They have given something to confuse you also. C rides with care, but the horse accidentally falls and is injured. So you may say that the C was riding it with care. It's okay. We can give it to our family members also, but it's a contract. So it was for own riding and he made an unauthorized or inconsistent use of the goods. In this case, B is liable to make compensation to A for the injury caused. Okay. Then another is A lends to B a horse for his own riding. Okay. B gives the horse to C for riding. किसी और को ही दे दिया. Now, I told you, there are two things that, see, it is also voidable. We told you he is liable to compensate and the contract of bailment is voidable at the option of the baler. So in this case of unauthorized use, this contract can be avoided, not avoided, voidable at the option of A.
Yes, you must have read under the Indian Contract Act under the general principle what is the voidable contract. So you must be saying when any contract is there, it can be declared by code as nullified. That means it will become ineffective, it will be declared as invalid. That means the contract, unless and until it is being nullified by the court, it will be considered as valid contract. So it is voidable. It is at the now in the hands of the baler either to continue as a valid contract or to declare it is as a void contract. So there it has to be declared nullified. Unless and until it is not declared nullified, it will be considered as valid. So here if something is done inconsistent, now it is in the hands of the baler either to continue with the particular that bailment contract or to declare it as void.
So suppose example comes in exam that A lends horse to B for his own riding, B gives it the horse to C for riding. Just an example. Is the contract valid, void, voidable? So what will be the correct answer? Like they have to write voidable at the option of the baler. So the correct answer will not be void or valid. Valid is correct, but it is voidable is the most appropriate answer. Okay. Now the third duty of the bailee is not to mix the goods. the bailee cannot mix his own goods with that of the baler. The goods have been given for bailment, and now he mixes the goods,
his own goods, yeah.
Then it may result in a loss to the baler, na? So there arises three conditions in this. One is when the goods are mixed with the consent of the baler. Then in that case, what happens? Both the parties will have an interest in the proportion to their respective shares in the mixture that is produced because of the bailment. Okay? We will be explaining it through the examples also. Next. अब पहली बात तो consent के साथ हो गया. Next is, it is done without consent. However, the goods can be separated.
Certain marks have been marked over there. Some kind of identity has been made in order to recognize which of the goods are of the other's party or his own goods.
So in that case, what will happen? The goods will be separated from each other, and if there is any expense incurred in the separation process, the bailee is bound to bear, not the baler, but the bailee, because it was without his consent. The bailee is bound to bear the expenses of separation and any damage arising from the mixture. It may result in some kind of a damage also. Okay. Now, again, a situation is there when the mixing is done without consent and the goods cannot be separated. Now, the goods are such that they cannot be separated. In this case, the baler will suffer even a larger loss. So the baler is entitled to be compensated for the loss of the goods. See, here it was separation and the damage arising when the goods could be separated. But if they are mixed without baler's consent and they cannot be separated, so there is a larger damage. So the bailee is liable to the baler for the loss of the goods. Okay. So these are contained in section 155, 156 and 157. First is when the goods are mixed and they can be easily separated. So that is very clear. Now they are, mixed and they can be separated easily. So A bales 100 bales of cotton marked with a particular mark to be. Suppose a X is marked or A or B is marked. Then B without consent mixes the 2 bales of cotton. Okay. Then in this case, what they will be what the bailee is liable. A is entitled to have his 100 bales returned, obviously. A, the baler, is accidental damages. If there is some kind of damage, then he is liable to pay to the baler these damages also. Next, now again he has mixed some goods and these cannot be separated because without the consent of the baler mixes the goods and it is impossible to separate the goods. A bales a drum of cape flour. अब आटा mix हो गया.
दो अलग-अलग आप कह सकते हो क्वालिटीज के
क्वालिटी है. हाँ. So cape flour worth ₹4,500 to B. He has delivered it for bailment, and now what happens? B mixes the two kind of flours. That is his own flour, which is a country flour of approximately 2,500, and the cape flour, which is ranging of around 4,500. Okay, he mixes the two. Now these two can't be separated. In this case, अब A को अपना गुड पूरा as it is तो मिल नहीं सकता. So he must compensate. That is, the bailee must compensate A for the loss of his flour. Okay. यहाँ पे if you would have seen, since they could be separated, so he was to return this also. Okay. Next is to return any extra profit accruing from the goods bailed. Very good. So what happens is the bailee has to deliver to the baler any increase or profit which may have accrued from the goods bailed. Now the classic example which always we give of this is,
this is the illustration given in the barrack also, and that is at many places you must have seen this illustration.
okay. So if the accretion has occurred in the goods bailed, then the bailee is liable to give that accretion also to the baler. So A leaves a cow in the custody of B. The cow gives birth to a calf. B is bound to deliver the calf along with the cow to A. Okay, because the accretion has to be given back to the baler.
Accretion means the increase or the growth that is related to the main goods. So that is the accretion.
And students, you will be surprised. You see, this is just a small section 163. In one of the attempts, we got case scenario of this, and you wouldn't believe we had 2 MCQs based on this only. So such small provisions also can easily fetch you 4 to 5 marks.
Yes.
So don't think that you can leave any provision. You should read each and everything very thorough. Okay. Now there is one more duty. That is, there is no adverse title. Bailee must hold the goods on behalf of and for the baler. He cannot deny the title of the baler. So he cannot deny the title. He must give back the goods, and the bailee must not set up a title adverse to that of the baler. There is one more duty of the bailee, which is return the goods once the time period has expired. Okay. When we were reading about the duties of the baler, we said that he is bound to accept the goods. Similarly, we are putting a duty on the bailee that he is also under an obligation to return back the goods to the baler. Okay. So what we can, if we see the section, it is saying it is the duty of the bailee to return the goods according to the baler's direction. The goods bailed without demand as soon as the time for which they were bailed has expired, or for the purpose for which they were bailed has been accomplished. Similar lines are used everywhere, that when the time has expired or the purpose for which the bailment was done has been accomplished, they have to be returned back. Similarly were the lines when we were talking about the duties of the baler. Okay. So example is, X delivered books to Y. Y promised to return the books within a reasonable time. Y failed to deliver them back even after the expiry. Okay. It was his duty, bailee's duty, to return back the books to the baler. Subsequently, the books were burned in an accidental fire at the premises of Y. In this case, Y was held liable because it was his duty. So we have learned about the duties of baler and the bailee. And as ma'am said that once duties have been assigned, so there comes the right also. Profit and loss go hand in hand. Duties and rights also go hand in hand.
Yes. So rights of the baler and the bailee we are going to deal now, because what happens when certain act is done, it may be possible due to non-fulfillment of their part of the promises or their part of the duties, it may give rise to some sort of loss or damages to the other parties. Now definitely that other party who's in loss, he must be having some right to avail so that he can safeguard his interest. So law has safeguarded in such case the interest of the party who is in loss or who has resulted into a damage of the goods. So what are all those rights of a baler and bailee? Let's take a quick look. Yes, the first rights of a baler. First is the right to terminate the bailment. Already said, this is the right which is available with the baler because it is voidable at the option of the baler. So what does it mean? That baler can anytime, if bailee does any act which is inconsistent or is against the terms of the contract with respect to any goods bail, then in that case, the baler has got an option to declare that bailment as a void. So he has got a right to terminate the bailment. Whenever he feels like that bailee is not fulfilling his duties, he is not doing according to the whatever the
terms and conditions
has prescribed as a duties to be done, or to look after the goods, or to take care in what manner the that good is to be utilized, and if that is not in line with the this contract, in that case, the baler may go and declare it as a void. He may declare, nullify, and can terminate the bailment. Then the second important right of a baler is right to demand back the good at any time. This is being given under section 159. Somewhere at many places we are not giving the sections, but because there are many sections, so it is not easy to remember. But yes, one should try. So whenever you are reading any provision from the book, try to read along with the section number so that you are able to retain. Every time you read the provision, every time along with the provision, read the section number also, so that you are able to memorize the same. Now, we are talking about the demand back of the goods. So in that case, when the goods are lent gratuitously, means without any valuation, or you can say without any consideration, without any charge, you can say. So in that case, the baler can demand back the goods at any time, even before the expiry of the time which has been fixed for the achievement of performance of the object or purpose of the bailment. Got it? Matlab, they can anytime demand back the good if it is a gratuitous bailment. Okay, then we can take an example in order to understand this right of the baler. You can see here, A, while going out of station, delivered his ornament to B for the safe custody for 1 month. Okay, he has given for a safe custody. But before the time which he has fixed for 1 month, he returns back before that time and he demands for the return of his ornament, even though the time of month has not expired. So this is due to premature return of the goods, because you are before time, you are asking to return the goods. So due to the premature return of the goods, in this case, if the bailee suffers any loss, okay, which is more than the benefit actually obtained by him from the use of the goods bail, there the baler has to compensate the bailee. Because many times it happens, we exercise certain kinds of, you can say some certain steps we take to protect the goods. And in that we also spend something, or some expenses is made to take care of the goods in the safe custody.
So there is one more thing that I would like to add here. See, this section is there. If we see, we have read it before also. Okay. And now when we are studying the rights of the baler. So we are now studying this same section from the point of view of the baler, that yes, he can demand back the goods.
Yes.
When we were discussing about the bailee, we said that if he has suffered any loss due to premature termination,
yes,
then in that case, he can have the
reimbursement
compensation
of the expenses that he have incurred for the maintenance of the good.
And you will see the same section will be once again covered in the further things that we will be discussing. So the same section is interpreted from the point of view of different people at different point of time.
This is what the rights and duties go simultaneously. So here the rights is to demand back the good. Okay, if there is a premature return, whatever the loss has been suffered by him, and if that loss is more than the benefit which would have an actually derived from the use of the goods bail, then in such a case, the baler has to compensate the bailee for all the expenses that he has taken or that he has expended for the maintenance of that particular good. So moving to the next important right is the right to file a suit against any wrongdoer. Yes, you will be seeing this is given under section 180 and 181 of the Contract Act. So here what happens in this case, the third person wrongfully deprives. He wrongfully interrupt the bailee or the baler, you can say, of the use or possession of the goods bailed or does any injury to the goods. There in that case, the bailee is entitled to the remedies as the owner might have used as if no bailment has been made. If anybody interrupt and does not permit the bailee to use the goods in the desired form or somewhere, deprives from using of the good or somewhere enjoying the right of possession with respect to the goods, then in that case, the bailee is entitled to the remedies similar as the owner of the goods have. And in that case, baler or the bailee, they may file a suit against the wrongdoer. So got it? If anybody interrupt with the usage of his right, then that the baler or the bailee may go to the court or they may file a suit against the wrongdoer who is interrupting or depriving him for exercising his rights with respect to the goods. Now, the next is right to file a suit for enforcement of duties, imposed upon a bailee. This is very simple because the baler has a right to sue the bailee for enforcing all the liabilities and duties which has been imposed on him. So he has got a right. He can go to the court and file a suit for enforcement of his right. Got it? Now the next important right is the right to claim compensation. If any damage is caused to the goods which has been bailed because of the unauthorized use of the goods, or you can say because of unauthorized mixing of the goods, which we have already seen, in that case, the baler has right to get the compensation for the same. So wherever you can say the goods which has been bailed and the bailee, what he does, he make unauthorized use or, against the terms and conditions or inconsistent with whatever has been laid down in the contract. In that case, the baler has right to claim for the compensation. Okay, I hope this is also clear to you. Now moving to the next thing is with respect to rights of a bailee. Earlier we have studied about the baler, now about the bailee. The first right is right to deliver the goods to any one of the joint bailers. Okay, if there are several joint owners who have bailed the goods, then in that case, what will be the situation? To whom the bailee is going to deliver? The bailee can deliver goods to any one of the joint owners. This is what we have learned in the co-owners also. With the consent of the other co-owners can give the guarantee. Similarly, here you can see if there are several joint owners, the bailee can deliver goods to any one of the
joint bailers.
Yes. Yeah. You can take an example to understand this first right with respect to the joint bailers. Yes. There are A, B, and C. These are the joint owners of a, you can say, combined harvester. This is used in farming. There's a combined harvester and they are the joint owners of it. And they delivered it on hire to D for 1 month. Right. Now, after the expiry of the 1 month, D may return, the combined harvester to any one of the joint owner, either A, B, or C. So this is clear in itself. Now, you can see one more example there, right to apply. This you will take later on. Let's take the other rights first. Yeah. Now, the next right is right to indemnity. भाई जब बेलर किसी को इंडेमनीफाई कर सकता है बेली को गुड्स की मेंटेनेंस के लिए, सिमिलरली देयर आर राइट्स टू इंडेमनिटी आल्सो. ठीक है ना, टुवर्ड्स द बेली. तो नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस इज सम लॉस इज कॉज arising out of any, matlab you can see with respect to the goods. So what will happen in such a case? Suppose if a bailee is entitled to be let's do in such a way. Suppose there is a defective title and the bailee is entitled to refund the goods back to the baler. Okay. Now in that case, bailee is entitled to be indemnified for the baler for the loss arising out of the reason that the baler is not entitled to make the bailment because the defective title, he is not the owner of the good, but then also he has bailed the goods. So this is defective title. Or to receive back the goods. Suppose if he has bailed it, but he has made certain, because the defective title, he is not able to receive back the goods. or give direction in respect to them. So in this case, the bailee is entitled to be indemnified. Because of a defective title, he has suffered certain kind of the loss, and due to that, he has been entitled or he has a right to be indemnified or compensated.
Baler pe we put a duty that you have to indemnify the bailee. Now we are giving this right to the bailee that you are entitled to be indemnified.
Yes. Now,
see, everything is interconnected.
Yes, this is what I said. Whenever you are reading, you just make a diagram. At one side, write the duties of the baler, and other sides you can write down the rights of the bailee. So you will find out how they're interrelated. So you can easily correlate and learn.
Yeah.
Now the next important thing is that suppose if the baler has no title to the goods and the bailee in good faith delivers them back to or according to the direction of the baler, the bailee shall not be responsible to the owner in respect of such delivery. Bailee can also claim all the necessary expenses that has been incurred by him for the purpose of this gratuitous bailment. So this is to be seen that there should be no defect in the title, and if where the baler has no title, if it does, a bailee does anything on the good faith, that in that case he is entitled to claim the necessary expenses, right? Now moving to the next important point is right to compensation. Yes, this is in the case of a faulty goods. Okay, if you can say a bailee is entitled to receive the compensation from baler on any loss caused to him due to the failure of the baler to disclose any fault in the goods known to him. Here the goods, whatever the fault is lying in the goods, some sort of latent, you can say the latent type of the default or the defects, which cannot be seen from the naked eyes, and the baler knows about things. So it is his duty to disclose the defect or the fault which is there in the good. But if he fails to intimate the bailee, then in that case, the bailee has a right that he can claim compensation for the defect in the goods or for such a faulty goods. If the bailment is for, suppose for in the case of the hire, that is a non-gratuitous bailment, the baler will be liable to compensate even though he was not aware of the existence of such fault. It is very clear. If it is a non-gratuitous, and in the case of the hire, suppose, in that is whether the baler is aware of the defect or not, he will be considered as liable if any mishappening happens with respect to that particular usage of the good. But where if with respect to the gratuitous bailment, if the baler is not aware of, then in that case, what will be the situation? He will not be liable. But is it aware and he has not made known to the not disclosed or not made known to the bailee, then in that case he is liable to pay compensation if any if any accidents take place or any kind of mishappening takes place. Now moving to the next right is the right to apply to court to decide the title to the goods. If the goods bailed are claimed by the person other than the baler, the bailee may apply to the court to stop its delivery and to decide the title of the goods. This is very simple. What happens if the other person says that I am the owner of the good, I am entitled to the good, and he starts asking for the claim of the good? Yes. So there the bailee may first go to the court in order to decide the valid title of the goods, and then accordingly he may deliver the goods to that particular person. Now here there is an example in the notes. A dealer is a dealer, okay, and he delivered a TV to B for using in the summer vacation. Subsequently, C claimed that TV was given to him for repairing, okay, and the B should deliver it to him, to the owner. In this case, B may apply to the court first to decide the valid question of the ownership of the TV, so that he may deliver it to the right person, the goods. So he has got a right to apply to the court. The next important rights is right of particular lien for payment of services. It happens whenever a good is bailed to a bailee, so he may exercise certain labor or skill in order to, to increase its value or to maintain it. So in that case, if bailee has rendered any service involving the exercise of labor or skill, he has got a right, he has been entitled a right to retain said good unless he receives the due remuneration of what is the expenses he has made for the, you can say, for the maintenance of that particular goods or for the preservation of the good or to increase its value. Okay, so in that case, you can say the bailee has a right to exercise the right of particular lien. This is the personal right of the bailee which he can exercise with respect to the goods which he have under his custody, under its, it is lined with this custody for the usage, for the purpose for which the bailment has been made. And in that lieu of continuation of that usage of the good, he has exercised certain rights to maintain its quality or its value. So in that case, he can claim for that charges, whatever he has spent it for maintenance of the particular good.
And what happens in this case is, suppose there is a diamond. A delivers a rough diamond to B, and B is a jeweler. So what happens is that A wants the diamond to be cut and polished and something to be made out of it. B, the bailee is entitled to retain the stone or the diamond till the time he is paid for the services. Okay. So until and unless he receives the due remuneration for his services, which he has rendered, then until that time he is entitled for this particular lien.
Yes. Then another right that he has got, bailee has got, is right of general lien. This is again the important aspect because many times the difference between the particular lien and the general lien is asked in the examination. So you should know the difference also. What this right, how these two kinds of rights is different from each other, and when they can be exercised and by whom they can be exercised under what circumstances. So when we talk about the right of general liens, you will think there are the particular persons who have been entitled to exercise these rights. Okay, and it is said that these people are specifically specified under section 170, where it says that bankers, factors, wharfingers, even the attorneys of the High Court and policy brokers, these are the categories of the person who may retain as a security for general balance of account any goods which has been billed to them. Okay, and no other person except these person we have mentioned so far, no other persons have a right to retain the goods as a security for such balances unless there is an express contract to the effect.
This is also very important.
Yes. If the contract specifies with respect to any other person, they can exercise the right to retain the goods as a security for the general balances of the account, then in that case, they can do so. Otherwise, the act, if you see, in the absence of the contract specifies the bankers, factors, wharfingers, attorneys of the High Court and policy brokers are the person who can retain the good for adjustment of the general balances of the account.
So what happens is any banker, the banker enjoys right of journal lien on the cash, checks, bills of exchange and securities that are deposited with him for any amount. Okay. And if we give another example, so at this point of time, we can also say,
let's take a break.
We will be finishing up this particular and journal lien. So we can also say that since we have told that what is journal lien and particular lien, what happens in case of a journal lien, we can give you an example. Suppose the A borrows from a bank rupees 500 and that he borrowed without security. Now he subsequently goes to the bank again and he borrows 1,000 rupees and that too on the security of some jewelry. Now, after some time, this person, A, goes to the bank and he returns back the amount 1,000 that he had borrowed against the security of the jewelry. Now, if we see the transaction is complete with respect to the 1,000 amount, but since banker has a journal lien over the goods, that is the jewelry that was deposited with them, the banker can retain the jewelry which has been given as a security to the second loan. that is 1,000 rupees, till the time that first loan is also repaid. So these people, these specified people has a right of journal lien. And when we were talking about your particular lien, that then we have given you the example that if he is not receiving those remuneration, then only he can retain the gold. Otherwise, he cannot. Okay. So I think
the rights are over. And let's have the difference between the general lien and particular, and then we may take a break.
Okay. Yeah. So journal lien and particular lien we have already discussed with you, and there is a difference between the two. So it's on your screen. We will be taking a 10 minutes break. If you have any query with respect to the Bailey's journal lien and particular lien, then you can ask. So right now it's 7:43, and we will be meeting you at around 8:43, or sorry, 7:43, 7:53. So let's take a 10 minutes break till the time you just brush up the concepts and read the differences between the particular lien and the journal lien.
Yes, welcome back, students. Let's continue with the topic. Yes, we were about to, we have already discussed with the general lien and the particular lien. So hope it's clear to you because everything is given in a notes form for your ready reference. And definitely this will be helping you to find out the concepts and in understanding of the same. So the next important aspect related to bailment that has been left was with respect to termination of the bailment. Because if anything has been created, definitely that thing needs to be terminated also. So with respect to termination of the goods, the following are the circumstances that has been mentioned when the termination of bailments take place. The first is, you know, that whenever the stipulated time period for which any bailment is made, if that expires, the natural that bailments get to be terminated. Right. Then second important circumstances with respect to the fulfillment of the purpose. As in when the purpose for which the bailment has been made is accomplished or fulfilled, then the termination of the bailment is resulted. Right. Moving to the next important circumstances by the death of baler or bailee. This is, you know, this is what happens upon the death of either of the baler or the bailee, the gratuitous bailment terminates. This is very simple. So there's not much explanation on this point is required. It is very direct and very clear. Then the next is the inconsistent use of the goods. So if you see where the bailee acts in a manner which is inconsistent with the terms of the bailment, okay, in that case, the baler can always terminate the contract of bailment by giving a notice to the bailee. So it can be done, only the notice is being required to be given. In that case, it can be terminated. A gratuitous bailment can be terminated by the baler at any time by giving a notice to the bailee. Any time it can be done. It is not required to just after the expiry of the stipulated time period. One's need to wait for the termination of the bailment. It can be terminated, in fact, at any time, but only the thing is that notice is to be given to the bailee. However, the termination should not cause loss to the bailee in excess of the benefit that has been derived by him. Many places we have explained this point also. So I hope this point is clear to you. Whenever there is a premature termination or before the stipulated time period, the loss should not be resulted to the bailee. Okay. And in case the loss exceeds the benefit derived by the bailee, the baler must compensate the bailee for such a loss. Okay. And if there is, suppose, you can say if it is in excess of the benefit, suppose, in that case, the surplus is to be adjusted. Then with respect to destruction or modification of the subject matter, it may be possible that the goods which are the main subject matter of any bailment is being destroyed, or suppose there is a change in the nature of the goods which make it impossible to be used for the purpose of bailment. So in that case, since that subject matter, the property is not in such a form which can be used under the bailment, so in that case there will be a termination of the bailment. So these are the circumstances. It's very clear and simple, and hope you will be able to understand whenever you will reading the study material or you will be reading the notes in both together in sync. So definitely it will make you to understand with more clarity. Now, the other important concept is the finder of the lost good. It is very important. Many times the questions has been asked on this concept. So you need to understand, even you might have read this part, if you remember, under the Indian Contract Act, where you have been dealt with the quasi-contract portion. There, the parties don't enter into a contract, but the circumstances or law applies in such a way that a person is considered to be entered into a contract. So under the quasi-contract, there was a concept also with respect to the finder of lost good under section 72 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. The same concept, however, the rights, duties and everything is same, but with respect to the bailment part, some specific points need to be taken into consideration and understanding of its rights and duties.
So who is the finder of lost goods? Any person who finds some goods which do not belong to him.
Yes. First thing is this. Who is finder? You should understand. Who is not the owner?
Who is not the owner and who finds some goods. Now, What is the duty of the finder? I have got something was lying here and there and I got it. So what is my duty? Obviously, my duty is to find the true owner of the goods.
Yes. First, only we will look into this part only. Ki
Yeah.
Who is the owner of this particular good?
And then we have to give. So the technical word here is surrender the goods. In simple language, it's that find the true owner and give the goods to him. But we will using the word to surrender the goods to him. Now, since we have told the duty, so there are some rights also of the finder of the goods. The finder of the goods, was he under an obligation? Understand this thing. Was the finder of the goods under an obligation to find those goods? No. It came to his knowledge while he was walking or due to some other circumstances. It has come to his knowledge. He has got those goods. So, first point is, the finder of goods has no right to sue the owner of the goods for the trouble of finding the goods, for the trouble and expenses that has been incurred by him in finding the owner. Because he has to expense, he may have to
To trace the true owner. Yes.
So if he has incurred some expenses, he cannot sue the owner for those expenses. Next, what happens is, but he can retain the goods that are under his possession. He can retain that goods against the owner until and unless he receives that compensation. He doesn't have the right to sue, but he can retain the goods. Okay. Next is where the owner has offered a specific reward. Now comes there. In the first point, we are saying that he cannot sue, but now we are saying that he has right to sue the owner. In what case? If the owner has offered a specific reward for the lost good and the finder finds it, then he can sue the owner for such reward. Until the time he gets those reward, he can retain the goods. Okay.
Yes. In fact, many times it happens somewhere the people miss their documents. So they generally declare in a newspaper that whosoever may find these documents, he will be rewarded certain, you can say certain amount. Or certain kind of a reward is to be given to him. So in that case, that person can demand for the reward, or he can retain the goods until he has been awarded that special reward what has been declared.
But if that reward would not have been declared and you do it gratuitously, though the term is not true, but you are doing it on your own. You found those documents, now you are going to the owner. You are
spending money to trace out the true owner. Somewhere you are contacting with the person, or you're going or reaching at particular place, or whatever the way you are spending or doing expenses to find the true owner, that expenses may be claimed from the owner.
Expenses can be claimed, but you cannot sue him because he had not declared any reward on it. Okay. Now, next part is, when can the finder sell the goods? Okay. The finder of the lost goods has no right to sell the goods found in normal course. However, he may sell the goods if the real owner cannot be found in a reasonable time, and with reasonable efforts, or the owner refuses to accept the goods or to pay the lawful charges. And there are two more very specific conditions, that the articles are such that they are of perishable nature and they will lose their value if they are not sold, or the lawful charges of the finder amounts to 2/3 or more of the value of the article found. So this is a very small topic, but many questions are framed out of.
Yes.
I hope it is clear. So next, let's move on to another very important topic in this, which is your pledge.
Yes. Pledge. What do we call pledge in Hindi? You must have heard this terminology many times. गिरवी, मैंने ये गिरवी रख दिया, या किसी ने अपना कोई स्कूटर है या something, some documents they have kept as a pledge. So in lieu for payment of any debt or as a security, they have kept these things to discharge their, obligation or any, you can say any kind of the liabilities or the performance of the promise or with respect to repayment of any debt. So this is the pledge. So pledge is the kind of bailment that already we have told you in the beginning of the session also. And pledge is, you can say it also known as other terminology uses pound, PAWN, pound. Okay. So this has been defined under section 172 and these provisions related to the pledge are being covered under section 172 to 181 of the of this your Indian Contract Act. This is 181 and sorry, 181 of the Indian Contract Act 1872. Okay. So now the thing is that what is the pledge? You need to understand its meaning. Meaning of this pledge. Pledge means a bailment of good. It is again, as already said, it is a bailment of good for what? As a security for repayment of debt or loan advance or for performance of any obligation or promise. So here the good is, what is it? It is bailed or it is given as a security. Remember the word, it is given as a security and for only two limited purposes. That is for the payment of the debt. It was for, for usage or for transportations or for repairing, So there was a wide you can use where the goods are of the debt. If you have taken any loan, in that case, can keep put as a security and other one is for the fulfillment of any promise. Where there's any liability, you need to perform your that part of the liability or the performance. The goods can be pledged in lieu of the said these two acts. Now there are two parties. Okay. One is the pawner. Pawner is the person who makes the pledge. Same capacity as baler and bailee. They have almost the same right as baler and bailee, rights and duties. So here the baler in this case is known as pawner, the person who pledged the good. And now let's take an example to understand this concept. Suppose if you borrow rupees 100 from B and keep your cycle with him as a security for repayment. It happened many times. So you